Hey everybody, it's Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins here on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. Checking in on Thursday mornings on your Fight Game free audio feed on where you find all your fine podcasts. And I think this is our last Wednesday night review of the year because next week we're not going to do a show on Christmas Day. We're going to do it a day later, give us some time to, spend time with the fam on Christmas and watch the show at our leisure, and then we'll come back. And I'm not going to take as detailed notes as I usually do next week. We'll do a quick review of Dynamite, a quick preview of World's End, because that'll be the go home show for the pay-per-view. So we'll have a show next week, but it probably won't be quite as long as normal. And we'll go, I think we're planning on 11 o'clock Eastern, so about 40 minutes later than we usually start here. So if you want to chime in with us, that'll be when it is. Just set your YouTube channel for a reminder, and you'll get a reminder of when we go live. So,
Paul, I have a live update on what's going on in my house right now.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
My mom's playing cards with a couple that she and my dad used to play cards with, so they play three-handed. And he is a wrestling fan.
Oh,
but he is a WWE fan. He
Did
started chanting CM Punk a little.
Oh, did he watch a show with you guys? With you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he'll watch SmackDown. I think.
Okay.
And that's pretty much his time because
he's probably like the one that like was watching Saturday Night's Main Event, because like
I told him to watch Saturday Night's Main Event. I don't think he did.
Yeah. It's funny because a lot of people, I think like the audience, a lot of people were disappointed with the audience, but I think it was actually like an audience that doesn't always watch WWE. I won't say normally, but I think it was a different audience on Saturday.
That's fine. I thought it was a fun show.
It was fun, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here.
No, we are not. But it was just funny because as you're talking, I can hear this.
Oh,
CM Punk.
Well, there was a time when they would chant that in AEW.
Yes.
And even after he left. But before we get into the show, I listened to earlier today, not that long ago, a couple hours ago. I listened to the Tony Khan. What do they call it? Like press
scrum.
It's a call, but
it's not a scrum. It's it's
the media call.
Hype call. Yeah, the media call.
So for the ROH pay-per-view, and it's your standard stuff. There's nothing too hard hitting, no serious questions answered. Our own Sam Shipman was on the call, and she actually asked a good question. She asked about the Von Erichs and when we can expect to see them again, because that he's injured, one of them's injured and everything. And all Tony did was correct her because she got the day wrong on the pay-per-view and didn't answer her question. So boo Tony for that one.
That actually doesn't bode well for the Von Erichs.
No.
Aren't they 6-man champs in the Ring of
Honor?
Or something?
They are, and the belts are just on ice. But it was funny because somebody asked a question about Red Velvet, and he was putting her over, saying she had a great year, and then saying like she came into AEW and she started out on Dark, and then she was brought into Dynamite and was put in a real big match to start.
True.
And he's trying to like talk about the match without mentioning anybody that was in it. He doesn't want to mention Jade. He doesn't want to mention
Jade, Cody, or Shaq. Well, maybe Shaq.
I'm surprised he wouldn't have mentioned Shaq, but so I found that kind of funny, and then they I think he talked a little bit about Jericho as Ring of Honor champion and what that means for the brand and all this. And it's funny because there's been talk again this week that numerous different broadcast companies are interested in Ring of Honor, which it's funny because this past week, last Thursday show I watched it. That might have been the best Ring of Honor TV show that I've seen, like, since I signed up to Honor Club. Like, it was, all the matches were good. It had a flow. They did promotion. They've promoted this pay-per-view. Like, I don't know who watches this TV show. Probably nobody. Well, that's the other thing. It's not a TV show, and Tony calls it a TV show constantly. On TV. Where does this air on TV? Like, is this in your fantasy world?
It's a fake it till you make it thing, Paul.
Yeah, because and then he's calling the show tomorrow or on Friday night a pay-per-view. And it's like, really? Where do I order it? Well, you sign up for our Honor Club. And it's like, well, isn't that the same as your TV show? Like, isn't this just another TV show on Friday? Like, it's funny, but it's like, no, it's one we're selling tickets for. It's like one of 3 shows a year he actually makes money on. So it's funny, but it's actually a good show they got coming up on Friday. They got Jericho and Matt Cardona for the world title, and Billy Starks for the women's title, and that's going to main event. And that should be Billy Starks winning because it's the second year in a row that they fought at Final Battle, and the second year that's been those two. So, and so Billy should.
Let's not bury the lead. Athena deserves to be on this AEW roster.
Yes, and she's in the 4-way at Wrestle Dynasty. So the winner of that gets a shot at any belt they want. So theoretically, that would mean she'd probably challenge Mercedes or Mariah, or whoever has either of those belts coming out of World's End. So yeah, that's probably what that is. We've got the Sons of Texas, which is Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes against the Righteous. And believe it or not, they've done a great job building this matchup. They've been cutting great promos. Dutch has a bull rope that was given to him by Dusty Rhodes, and he's using that, and he's getting in Dustin's head, and it's really good. They're really rehabbing the Righteous, something fierce. So
Dusty Rhodes having a good week.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah, to Tony or what's his name, Kevin Owens. Even putting him over. But yeah, he's like, do you feel bad they promoted the pay-per-view better than they promote the last AEW pay-per-view? No, I don't. I don't feel bad about it. Like I'm glad, in a way.
I don't have an emotional connection to AEW, so I don't feel bad.
They're doing a better job with promoting. I'll give them that.
I mean, like, I kind of really enjoyed this first hour a lot.
Well, I will say the first 5 minutes, I was like, what? Like there was like 9 segments in the first 5 minutes.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, like just stop and just focus on something for like a second.
Yeah, eat more AEW.
Yeah.
Tasty.
And then they had a great match to kick off the show. So we'll get into it. But actually I thought last week's show, I think I said was one of the better shows they've done in a long time. And this show I thought was really good at points. And overall, probably one of their better shows, but there was definitely some down stuff. And depending on how one feels about Darby Allin, trying to kill himself.
I was interested in this show because I thought we were going to disagree on things because when I said that, I mean, like, I preferred the first hour over the second hour for the most part.
Well, there was parts of both hours I didn't like. So, and so we'll get into it. But I mean, I have a feeling I'm going to like the Darby Will match a lot more than you. And then the main event was whatever the hell that was.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. And only second to Dusty Rhodes. I think Mercedes is having the second best week of anybody, possibly.
Yeah, perhaps. Well,
did you watch that match at all from New Japan?
I haven't yet. I will. I will watch that. I don't know when.
I'm sorry, comment in the chat popped me.
Oh, that last comment there?
Yes.
My God. So he didn't have a great week.
No, he did not.
But what's funny? This is like, I do my match of the week column on FightGameMedia.com, and this week, you know who had the top 2 matches? And this would be the period of, so ending on the 14th, starting on the 8th, but then it also includes some matches that were before the 8th because I'm behind on some stuff. Ricochet.
Oh, okay.
Ricochet had the top 2 matches. So I'm promoting him as, hey, he's turning his career around. He's the best. After tonight, I don't know. And do you realize we're talking about promoting pay-per-views? Do you realize he's wrestling for the IWGP heavyweight title on January 5th?
He what?
Yeah. Can you you're ghetto watching this show and you're like, what the hell what did I do to Tony Khan?
He what?
Yeah. Ricochet and Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah.
This is career sabotage is what this show is then.
Oh my God. This was the last time they did something like this to somebody. This is like what Vince used to do to people before he was like, the show would be over and then you go on Twitter and, we wish Trevor Mann best of luck in his future endeavors. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he got buried by everybody. Like, what the hell was that?
And they're now saying, "Hey, Evil, yeah, apologies."
Yeah, my God. Ricochet, the Irish sensation. Yeah, we'll get into Ricochet. Not his best show, unless this is the goal. And didn't they do this in WWE at one point? No,
yes.
You know who they did this with? They did it with Sammy.
They also did it with Ricochet, I think.
Maybe. But this actually, that's what this reminded me of. This is what they did with Sammy when nobody liked him. And this is right before he joined the Bloodline, actually. Because he was, if you remember, that's how the thing with Drew started. He was fighting Drew in order to get in Roman's good books to keep Drew off of Roman's back. And he just got his ass kicked by Drew every week.
This is when it was annoying. Yeah.
And eventually just started hanging out with the Bloodline, and they looked at him and he's like, I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. We won't kick him out.
I have a separate idea of what's going on, but we'll get
to it when we get to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's about it from that conference call. There wasn't a lot of news. There was a question that I would have asked him if I was on the call, and I probably should have gone on the call. But my question for Tony, and if you're watching or listening to this and you go on these calls, maybe you can ask it next week because they're going to do another one. With these rumors of Ring of Honor, perhaps getting their own TV deal, are there plans to have them tour as a separate brand, or are they going to continue to just have the matches after Dynamite and Collision tapings? That would be my question for Tony. I know he wouldn't answer it, but there's a lot of things on the table, and you
even putting that out there is one of those things that I'm kind of aghast at.
Why?
They can't fill up arenas for AEW.
No, I don't want them doing arenas.
A touring brand.
I want them to do like 800-seat halls. I think if you had Chris Jericho as this King of New York champion in front of all these indie fans, there'd be a lot of heat for these matches, and then you could have the young guys just doing their matches. And actually, it would be easier to get behind ROH. I think personally, but I don't think it'll happen. But I'd love to hear his answer. So we'll see.
All right. Sam Shipman, get on that.
He needs to be a solid third man in a good faction. I don't think MVP agrees with you.
We'll talk about that when we get to the Ricochet part.
All right. So the attendance for tonight's show, speaking of what we just talked about, 2,809. The last time they were in this building was Rampage in October 2022, and they actually did more fans for that show. It was weird. The way they had this set up, it looked like the building was really small, but I think it's just the way they had it set up, because I think it's actually a fairly big building, but they just kind of sectioned it off. It looked like they were in like the corner of the building. Like the from the entranceway to the ring looked like about 15 feet. Like it was weird. It wasn't the long ramp that they usually have. And yeah, am I imagining?
I'm fine with that though.
Yeah, me too. This crowd was hot at times. I think they were a little rowdy because they were probably drinking a lot, and that usually makes for a better crowd. And because it wasn't this huge, massive, cavernous arena, the sound didn't, die.
No, it sounded intimate. It was good.
Yeah. I mentioned we had 9 segments. So we started with the Death Riders arriving, and then immediately they cut to Renee with Orange Cassidy and Jay White. She says, "You're wrestling at World's End. Are you focused on the Death Riders or each other?" And Jay says that he doesn't have much to say. He gave us a pep talk before we started. But where's our focus? Well, my focus is on the AEW World Championship. But I know that first I got to make it to World's End. I got to rely on people I don't normally rely on because I don't have the Bang Bang Gang. And Orange Cassidy and Hangman, but I'm not stupid enough to rely on that man. He lets everyone down. One man we don't need is Hangman. And before he can get those words out of his mouth, the Hangman comes into the scene. And he screams at Hangman. He says, all right, White. He says, "Tonight, Mox is not yours. He's mine. The champion is mine." And then Jay's like, "Aye, Captain, at least you brought your black jacket. Come on, partner." And Orange Cassidy puts on his glasses and he leaves. And it's like, okay. So the babyfaces hate each other. That's the build to the main event. And then we go to a Darby film promo. And all he says is, "Darby Allin, Will Ospreay. It's showtime." And then we go to a Will Ospreay promo. And he says, "Washington, D.C., you ready for a treat? You get to witness an elite dream match, the aerial assassin and Darby Allin. It's time for warfare, bruv. Let me let me let you know why my name is Will Ospreay and why I'm on another level, bruv. And so that's that. Just a little short promo, kind of like what they used to do at the start of Collision with the Saturday Night's Main Event stuff.
This is what they do on most wrestling shows: is they set the table. Joe Tessitore over on Raw has been doing this since he joined. Mm-hmm. I had no problem with this. I actually enjoyed this.
No, it's just you're not used to seeing it. Is all I'll say from this show.
Maybe they're learning.
Maybe. Then they showed the standings. So one of the blocks, I don't know which one. Claudio, Will, and Ricochet have 6 points each. They left them up long enough for me to write down the scores. I didn't have to pause it.
The itchy division and the scratchy division.
Yeah. Yes. Darby and Brody have 3 points each. So basically, everyone's in it. And Commander's got 0. Everyone but Commander's in it. He's not getting any points in this tournament. And then on the other side, Kyle Fletcher has 9 points. Kazuchika Okada 7. Mark Briscoe 6. Daniel Garcia 4. Shelton Benjamin 3. Mortos has 0, and he will have 0 at the end of the tournament.
The only thing I would have changed is that highlight package that they ran after a tournament match. I would have run it here.
Yeah, I agree. But at least they did it.
Yes.
And I was glad for that because I haven't seen Collision yet or Rampage. So then they mentioned Shelton faces Mortos tonight, and of course we already know Will faces Darby. So key matches in both of those blocks. Good. Then we show MJF arriving, and he didn't do anything. And then Excalibur ran down tonight's card. So, hey, great. More setting the table. Then they showed highlights from Mercedes' match on Sunday during her entrance. And they set up an angle on that show for her to face Mina Shirakawa, who we just saw lose.
It is a match worth seeking out, by the way.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I'm telling other people, though, that is a match worth seeking out.
I do find it funny that the best way to get a title shot in AEW is to lose a title match for the other belt.
Yes, yeah, it's
I mean, we saw it tonight. Anna Jay, she just wrestled Mariah May 3 times, got beat twice. Then she wrestled Mercedes, and then we saw Mina lose to Mariah May, and now she's wrestling Mercedes. So it's interesting how they book, but that's fine. And then people will tell you that's why they need the rankings back. No, they just need to book better. And
you're not getting an argument for me on that.
No.
Okay.
Then you mentioned a great match. We got what I thought was a pretty damn good match. I wouldn't go so far as great, but this is maybe the best match that doesn't involve blood and thumbtacks and tables that I've ever seen from Anna Jay. I wrote down Daniel Garcia on commentary, but that's wrong. It was Matt Menard. I don't know why I wrote down Daniel Garcia. Wow. He calls Anna Jay the most improved female in the locker room in 2024. I thought that was Harley.
It is Harley.
Okay. She's going to get some votes for most improved, although I do think that it's actually Kyle Fletcher. But anyways, crowd I wrote down here is more lively than most, at least early. They've been pushing. I wrote this down, and I don't know why, because they mentioned it about 1,000 times tonight, which is great. I'm not complaining, but Collision will be on Saturday after college football. You got that? It may be early. It probably won't be, but it's, and it's live coast to coast. So they mentioned that a bunch too. There were dueling chants. Let's go, Anna, CEO. They went they actually went to break as Mercedes was going for a pin, which was weird. And Excalibur didn't even call for it. Is that how it was on YouTube? Like sometimes TSN has different ad breaks. I don't know, but
we went to picture in picture and there was a lot of the match in there, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. It was just like in the middle of a sentence. It was just all of a sudden the picture in picture came up. It was weird, but it's fine. After the break, this is where Anna took over, was after the break. She hit a blockbuster for 2. Then she hit a gory bomb. Mercedes grabbed the ropes. Anna went for the Queen Slayer Mercedes looked like she was going out. And I think people were buying this. And then she bit Anna's arm to break it. Crowd booed. So they were cheering her earlier. Now they're booing her. So good job, Mercedes. She puts on the statement maker, and Anna rolled her up, and Mercedes tilted that into a pinfall. Anna made the ropes to break it. She backed her into the corner twice, rolled her up for 2. And then Mercedes hit a destroyer, then a double knee strike. And then she hit the best moneymaker she's ever hit in her life.
Yes.
It was like, oh my God. And she got the pin. This match was great.
I really liked this match a lot. Now to go into now that I've said the positives, let me go into the negatives. We didn't necessarily need a good match here.
Okay.
We needed a little bit more story to help Anna Jay. And we needed to establish Anna Jay as almost there. As
you don't
almost
think they did
there.
that?
I mean heavy into it.
Okay.
I think more than one hope spot.
I thought Mercedes biting her arm to break
no,
out
I thought
of a
no.
hold.
I bid on maybe the Queen Slayer getting it because they were going to tell the story. You know,
she's got too much on her plate defending
too much on her plate. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I thought that maybe they try and pull the old Japanese. Yeah, she's worn down from that last match and she got caught on this one. I think that was good, but here's the other reasons I think we need a few more close calls for Anna Jay. They did her dirty by showing Chris Statlander for some reason. And I'm like, why are we hyping up Chris Statlander at a moment where we're making Anna Jay a star right now? I just thought that was malpractice.
That's probably the Full Gear match or the World's End match.
Well, but that's also a problem with AEW. Yes. It's like, okay, here we are. We're going to tip our hand and show you who the next competitor is. It's like, okay, we don't need that right now. We're having this great match, and we really Anna Jay should be. I mean, if you had female pillars, she should be one. She's been here for 5 years, and I'm reminded of this because I just watched our show that we're gonna review tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Actually, yeah.
It's been. I mean, it's another thing with Moxley's thing where it's like you've been here 5 years and you're in the same position. She's been here 5 years and she's still kind of in the same position. And after tonight, we should have been clamoring, I think, for a rematch. I think that was the error in the storytelling. I thought the match was really, really good, but I think we should have been clamoring for. Man, Mercedes got out of there by the skin of her teeth, literally. Yeah, and she should feel lucky as opposed to just sitting there dancing cockily in the match. Yeah. And this was a really close call for her. Maybe she's putting too much on her plate. Maybe she's not paying attention to all comers for all of her belts. I think that was the problem here.
Speaking of too much, do you realize that match with Mina is actually also for Mina's belt? She has a belt in England. Mercedes could have 3 belts after January 5th.
I'm still trying to get over Uncle Dave's assessment of the closing post match with Mina and Mercedes.
I'm still getting over his rationale for why the audience for Rampage last week was 91% male, and
because women were doing.
I guess
it was sexist. Shopping. I'm not gonna repeat it here, but it was sexist in every way. And he's gonna.
I guess they're out shopping.
I guess they're out shopping. Oh God. What are you?
It was funny.
And you just see Brian just going,
Yeah. It's like, okay, you go, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. But no, this really should have been an Anna Jay coming out. And my God, Mercedes, we don't say enough of it, but she is in the women's division, possibly the best bout machine.
Yeah. Like I said before she was signed, you can go back and look in our Discord if you want. I probably said it on this show. Her value was not in ratings and it's not in selling tickets. It's in elevating this women's division, and she's doing that. She's doing that on her back. So good for her.
She should have the women's title. No offense to Mariah May.
Well, she's a TBS champion, and honestly, like even when Jade had it, it probably was more prestigious than the world title. So they showed Statlander watching from monitor. I wrote that down. Then we went to a promo from FTR. They're sitting in a living room somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "It's been a few days since everyone saw what happened to us." And I'm like, I have no idea what happened to you. And
but they fixed that, Paul.
They did. They showed us. I was impressed.
Oh, I was so happy.
They said they agree AEW needs a change. Then they mentioned, this is the stuff they didn't show us last week. We stopped you from poisoning a man. And then they show highlights. They're talking about being dragged outside and left for dead out in the cold. I'm like, wait a second. Where were they last week? I don't remember, but how cold was it? And was there not like anyone around? Like, how far did the Death Riders drag them? Like, did they go off into the mountains somewhere, or were they just outside the building?
No, because they follow this up as Dax says, as you're on the cold concrete, you have a lot of time to think. And I believe they were in. Okay, it was trolling. It was something that has a rivalry with Boston. because they were
Lowell?
booing.
Oh, no.
No, they weren't in Lowell. That was her. They were
I didn't
in.
watch the show. So it was Northeast.
I'll look
It was
up.
Northeast anyways.
Yes, it was
Northeast. So maybe
Northeast.
it was cold. Okay. But I just thought it was funny. Like it was almost like, this isn't Ric Flair being dragged out into the desert by Eddie Guerrero and his buddies. They were just beat up in the parking lot. It's no big deal. But apparently they're not covered, or they said, so is there life after wrestling for FTR? What else is there for us to do? Doc Sampson says we aren't cleared for the rest of the year. So from now on till the rest of the year, don't sleep and don't answer your door because it won't be good for you and your family. So they're threatening to do home invasions on each member of the Death Riders.
They should.
As then he says, on January 1st in Death Riders, we will be there in the center of the ring. We're going to fight the Death Riders, and we won't be alone. So this is what I talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Copeland's coming back.
It's Copeland. But no, I liked the rationalization as they sit there and they go, we don't even disagree with you all that much. We think
yeah. Like, we agree, AEW needs to improve. Like, we need people here to toughen up.
We just don't want you pouring Drano down a guy's throat.
Yeah, that's not the way to do it. We have other ways. We can just, smash their hand in a door.
It's called constructive criticism.
Yeah, let's watch some Mid-South. And I watched an angle.
Come on over. Let's watch some old Crockett from 84.
I'm hoping it comes up. I watched this show. If not, I'll tell you about it after. It's just the best angle I saw in this Mid-South show I watched today.
Is that the one that they reviewed yesterday, or the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. MJF's in the ring. This segment sucked.
No,
this was the worst thing on the show.
No,
Strong disagree.
Loved it.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm going to go through this and I'm going to try to figure out what you liked.
Okay.
So they're booing. He says, you don't like me, huh, guys? Good thing I don't care about the opinions of a bunch of disgustings from DC. If I cared, I wouldn't have signed on to be an AEW wrestler. I'd be a Washington Wizard because the Wizards suck. And of course, the fans didn't boo that. They chanted Wizards suck.
They do.
The Wizards suck. I think they have 3 wins this year. They're like 3-25.
Free Malcolm Brogdon, please.
Yeah.
For God's sakes.
And then so MJF just, they do. And then he says, let's face it, guys, I'm no Scrooge. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Not the last Christmas song we get today, by the way. We'll get to that. He says, pretty soon the most important holiday, which is the part of the most important religion, is coming up. That's right. It's Hanukkah. And I should point out MJF was wearing a Jewish themed suit.
His Hanukkah suit, yes.
The fans chanted for that. They loved Hanukkah, so that's good. I know that some people don't like it when MJF does this, but every time he does it, he gets a positive reaction. So I don't think it's anti-Semitic in any way, but I'm also not Jewish. So I probably don't have any right to have an opinion on that. But he says, and I shouldn't have had Emily in the room. Santa's not real, and I'm not sorry for it.
Oh, God. You did. She was in the room?
Of course she was.
Oh.
And the fans are chanting Santa. They show a 5-year-old girl in the crowd chanting Santa. So I guess she wasn't upset, but she's chanting for her.
I'm here for crying children, though. I'm always, in the crowd. That's unfortunate for me.
Then he says, I got some bad news for you. Santa didn't give you a lump of coal. It's because your parents were too poor to afford a real gift. So he's just doing all the cheap heats.
Yeah.
But he says, Hanukkah is all about giving, and I'm feeling real philanthropic right now. So I'd like to talk about a fundraiser. And he says, I might cry, guys. Can you give me a second? And then he says, can you please start the music? So they start playing this sad music. Like, this is Sally Struthers.
Exactly. This is why I love this so much. Yes.
Okay. All right. So she says, picture this. A small child sitting across from you, starving, needs nourishment, needs food. That small child is this baby. And they put up a picture of a child.
This small yellow child.
With Adam Cole's face superimposed. The crowd's laughing. And MJF says, I know it's hard to look at, but don't avert your eyes. And the announcers are like, this is disgusting. This is bad.
Yes.
Excalibur says, that's not Adam Cole. That's a superimposed picture. It's like, so he says, if you want to help that small yellow baby, scan this QR code. I thought he was going to ask to just send money to him. But he says, so you can buy the pay-per-view. He says this Saturday, December 28th. So I'm thinking he might have thought this was the taped show. But he says, and then this is where Excalibur told us it was a doctored photo. If you buy that photo, or if you buy that pay-per-view, a part of your money will go to my foundation to put this small yellow child out of his misery, and for the fact that I'm better than you, and you can thank me later. So that was
the
that.
only thing it lacked was it going to an actual foundation of his to do that.
Yeah.
Look, this is the time of year for these Sally Struthers commercials, because this is giving season for everybody for tax purposes here in the States.
Yeah. Well,
I loved that the announcers sold this. I do. They were appalled by this, and this is what I want. I want
when people criticize them for dumbing things down, though.
This was not dumbing
that's a
anything
doctored
down.
photo is dumbing it down.
I don't care. It's still basic pro wrestling. It's what it's supposed to be. And instead of look, we all have to stop being the smart kids in the room. We really do. Just make pro wrestling dumb again. For God's sakes.
The only here's the problem I had with this, though. I thought it was funny. I thought it was really funny. The crowd thought it was funny. MJF's a heel. I think.
You heard some booing in there. I mean, it wasn't. I'm not. Yeah, no, I will agree. It should have been more mean than funny.
I'm not positive who the heel is in this thing, because when we got Adam Cole's promo, this was 100% a heel promo from Adam Cole.
Yes.
So he gets out and he says, "Max, look at this man. I'm the one on the big screen this time."
Yes, this needed. Look, I'm not saying this was perfect. Yeah, I did like this, but it needed a little bit more pro wrestling anger in it. Instead of sports entertainment. Hey, I'm up here on the jumbotron. Look up here, type of a thing. I wanted MJF to be a little bit more cruel, to get the crowd off of his side. I will agree that that's a very good constructive criticism of it.
So he says, "You're the one in the ring looking like an idiot." So he admits that he's been the one in the ring looking like an idiot.
True.
Literally every segment they've ever done in this feud, like since Cole came back, at the end of the segment ends with Cole in the ring and the crowd making no noise and no one knows what the hell's going on. Everything. Not sure if it happened this time. So maybe that was a success. So he says MJF versus Adam Cole at World's End for that diamond ring. I had a meeting with Tony Khan, and I don't know why he said he had a meeting with Tony Khan, by the way. That didn't really make sense. I know how badly you want to get your hands on that diamond ring, and I've got two men here who are going to make sure that doesn't happen. And out comes Matt Taven and Michael Bennett, right? Is that their names? Yeah. And they're there, and no reaction from the crowd because they don't know how to react to these guys. They're idiots and they're jobbers, and they're baby faces now, I think.
We're supposed to remember that MJF hurt Roddy. That's why we're supposed to. Oh, look, Roddy's friends are going to help Adam Cole now.
Maybe he could have said there would be three of us, but Roddy's still recovering. But the problem is I don't think people like Roddy either. So
no, they don't. Nobody likes anybody in this feud.
So he says, "You have nowhere to hide. You're a dead man, and I will finish this at World's End." And then he says, "Boom." And he says, "I swear I'm forgetting something." He's like, "Oh yeah, there it is. Hey Max, am I kicking your ass yet?" And I was like, "What? What is he talking about?" And then they go to the ring. And
I liked him. This was good execution, I thought.
Yeah, it was a different take on how you usually do this, where like the guy on the screen is commentating the ass kicking. He actually warned him the ass kicking was coming before it came, which was and so Cole attacked him. He went for the Panama Sunrise, but MJF bailed. And then the announcers mentioned about 6 times that the pay-per-view is a week from Saturday. They had to make sure that was clear because MJF had said this Saturday.
I wish they wouldn't have done so much of a hard sell of the pay-per-view versus hard sell of the I hope Adam Cole kicks MJF's ass.
Yeah. Well, I think they were trying to correct the fact that MJF had given the wrong date.
Right.
Here's an interesting point from Lady B.
I think that's a very interesting point.
Yeah. My mom's friends don't allow their kids to watch AEW, and the Santa's Not Real promo is one of the reasons why. Curious overall about AEW's target audience. Do they care about a younger audience?
No.
I don't think they
20
do.
20 and 30-something neckbeards.
Yeah. And the problem is, and there's other stuff too, like blood and guts.
Smarky.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
swearing. They've toned down the swearing, but
there's nothing wrong with an adult product. Don't get me wrong. And I think they are of the view that this is an adult product. But they also kind of want the wrestling audience. It's a very they toe that line.
You know who does that very well is like something like Family Guy, where it is an adult cartoon, but they know that kids are watching, and they would never say Santa's not real. They would treat Santa as a real person on that cartoon.
Yeah, as opposed to say DC animation, which just puts a whole bunch of sex on there.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I shouldn't have let the kids watch Creature Commandos.
But now they can't watch the Dynamite show either. So
yeah,
because we just said that. So they showed highlights of Collision, and Willow, I think, beat Jamie Hayter. She wasn't even in the shot, but it looked like Julia had just lost, or that Jamie had just lost. And then before she could do anything, she was attacked by Julia Hart, and the crowd cheered, it looked like. So I'm thinking, was Jamie Hayter a heel now? And then she says, you can't fight what you don't see, and I see you for exactly what you are, a coward. Last Saturday in Collision, you decided to show up finally. But was it face-to-face? No. It was when I was beat and tired. You used your tricks to attack me from behind. That was a sneaky, classless move, Julia. And I know you're listening. So here's my message to you. Fight for the fallen. I'm going to service you a dish best served cold. I'm going to serve you a heavy dose of haterade. And I thought good promo. They're building up the match
straight ahead
babyface,
Magnum TA style babyface promo. I like.
And this was good because the angle almost made Julia like a babyface, but it was just because she was returning and people like her and stuff. But Jamie turned it around, and and now you just have to. I hope they're going to boo Julia.
Okay, but let's address that then for a second. The House of Black are baby faces.
Well, that's another problem because the funny thing is, I think they are.
They are.
I know.
It's been established, and so
constantly, when I'm listening to reviews of the show, I keep hearing people say they're heels, and I don't know where they're getting that because they are baby faces, except I think they're tweeners, but there's no such thing as a tweener. I've always believed that. So a tweener is someone that's in between churns, so you can only be a tweener for like a week, by definition. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they are definitely, because Brody, didn't he shake hands with Darby after a win? Yeah. And people cheer them, and and Jamie is kind of a cold baby face. This one's gonna be tough. But yes. I think she's gonna beat Julia, which I don't know.
I don't.
Okay. Well, I mean, if she doesn't, then that's fine. Yeah. Maybe she's gonna turn heel. And this is maybe she's gonna get mad at the fans.
I got news for you. I think we're getting some black mist again.
Oh, okay. From Julia?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then Excalibur points out for the first time, and this is gonna make a lot of New Japan fans happy, that Kenny Omega is competing in Tokyo at Wrestle Dynasty. So this is the first time it's been mentioned on AEW television. And we hope to see him back in AEW very, very soon. And then we got a 3-minute video package for Kenny Omega, and it was awesome. And the fans were chanting Kenny, Kenny, Kenny. So he's coming back. That was good.
I still strongly disagree with this as a business move.
Oh yeah. I mean, as far as bringing him back in New Japan first, yeah, that's stupid. But at least he's coming back. That's all I'm looking forward to. So. Then we heard Christian's music that broke up the Kenny chants, and it was him and Nick Wayne, and they're coming out for a match with Hook and Katsuyori Shibata. So Christian's music plays. They do their entrance. They go to break. They come back. Christian's music is still playing. And I'm like, am I watching WWE? This is, except they don't even do this anymore. But then I was thinking, all the guys doing production there now used to work in WWE. So this is what they learned, and it just hit me wow, I haven't seen that in a while, and people used to hate it, and I can't imagine being in the crowd. And for the first until they went to commercial, and even after commercial, they were dead, because I think they just sat here and listened to Christian's music for 6 minutes, and then this match started, and it was Hook teaming up with Shibata, which they teamed together 6 months ago, and and then all of a sudden Shibata disappeared. and Hook's been fighting all these guys by himself, and then all of a sudden Shibata's back, and the fans were I think they were confused at first, and I don't think Hook sat over anyways, but they got by the time this match, like after the break, they got into it because Shibata was like kicking ass. And by the end of this, I'm not even sure who this was supposed to get over, but the guy that got most over out of this was Shibata, because he went nuts for a while. He's running wild than everyone. And then eventually he was about to go for the PK, but Christian grabbed his foot. Nick rolled him up for 2. Hook chased Christian outside the ring, suplexed him on the floor. In the ring, Nick went for Wayne's World. Shibata got a sleeper. And then Shibata hit Sabian with a penalty PK. Then he went after Nick Wayne. Then Mama Wayne got on the apron, distracted the ref. Christian hit the kill switch behind the ref's back, and then Nick Wayne covered him and got the win. So, yeah, a lot going on in this match.
If you're gonna have that thing with the playing the theme for that long, Christian needs to be doing crowd work to whip this crowd into a frenzy, so that by the time that bell rings and that first shot comes at him, that they just cheer like madmen.
I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did, but I think you should have, and I think it's one of those things where, I think that the audience wanted it because you could hear it in the release for when Shibata tagged in and really, heated up. I thought this was a good basic building block type match for a story. I did. There was nothing special about this. I mean, Shibata chopped the crap out of Nick Wayne.
He did, and Nick
you kill Kip Sabian again, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, they're the 2 red shirts for Christian while we wait to see what we're gonna do with Christian and his contract.
I think if Hook was Shibata, this match was a lot better.
Yes, because the whole point of this is to elevate Hook, and it's not elevating.
Right, and the point and the end result is Hook and Christian, I think.
Yes, and we want to
unless it's Christian and Shibata.
And we came out of this wanting to watch Christian and Shibata. It was incredibly poorly planned.
So if that, I mean, hey, maybe they'll just do Christian and Shibata at the pay-per-view, and then that's fine.
I think they're going to.
Oh, well, hey, then they did a great job here.
As a setup, and then Christian beats Shibata, and then we go on to Hook.
Okay, if that's what happens, then this was perfect. Then we got, I couldn't believe it. I actually had to rewind it to make sure I actually saw what I think I saw. We got a rundown for Collision.
Oh, yeah.
And in the middle of the show, and with time. This wasn't Excalibur just running stuff down like fast. We got Cole and MJF are going to be face to face. Okay, we just saw that, but whatever. Darby and Claudio in a Continental Classic match. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet. Now, the only thing I'll say about this is 6 months ago when Ricochet was rumored to be coming here, this was like a dream match. Then they put it on a pay-per-view, and they had a really good match. And now this is a match that they announced in the middle of the show with no build for Saturday on Collision, and move on to the next thing. So whatever. That's Mark Briscoe and Beast Mortos. Sounds fun. And Daniel Garcia and Shelton Benjamin. So we got 4 tournament matches on Collision. So and again, it's going to air live coast to coast after the college football playoff game, Texas and Clemson. They promoted the hell out of that thing. I know that off the back of my head. Like,
I'm happy I know where to find those college playoff games now because I thought they were on ESPN,
TNT, TBS, and True TV, I believe.
Okay.
Then we got a Jericho video package. This was awesome.
This is fantastic.
He's running around New York. He's in Times Square. It was mostly Times Square. And he says, I was once known as king of the world. Everybody wants to rule the world, but every king needs a throne. And you need a castle, a capital city. As he's doing this, he's ordering a pretzel from a stop. He says, there's no better perch from which to rule the world than New York City. From Broadway to Queens, from the brownstones of Tribeca to the posh penthouses in Spanish Harlem, from the lowest of subjects to the rats to the prominent power brokers and paparazzi, all have anointed me king of New York, Chris Jericho, and I'll be damned if I let anyone take my crown. It's like, wow.
I love that they got him ice skating in Rockefeller Plaza.
And he's like glad handing the fans. And
yes.
And he's taking pictures with Spider-Man and he's like having a slice. And he's in this pizza place. There's just nobody there, and he's just eating a piece of pizza
with a title. You know what? this is Hawkins humor by every stretch of the imagination. But he should have eaten the pizza and left the title at the table, and then run back to get it.
Yeah. Wow, that would have been. That was probably
that
would
have been for me. Floor. That would have been for me. That joke is just for me. But yes,
that's on the director's cut.
But yes, he's the king of New York, so he must eat in the local fare, and that is a New York slice. Yes.
And if you didn't know, the pay-per-view on Friday is from Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. It's the first of 3 straight shows that are doing there.
He has to come out to New York by Sinatra.
Oh my God.
I would pay for that. I think I would help Tony. I'd chip and join.
I have a better suggestion. I do. I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can.
Alicia Keys?
Yeah, I was gonna play it, but
no,
you don't think
not as good as Frank. You go with the classics on this one,
or Billy Joel. I'm in a New York state of mind.
You gotta go.
Some folks like to get away.
No, shut up.
All right. Oh, that's not the last you're gonna hear me singing tonight.
Is it the last I'm gonna hear you sing Billy Joel?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So Final Battle. I thought they were gonna do a rundown of Final Battle, but no, just Chris Jericho and Matt Cardona for the RH title. That's all they mentioned. Then we got a Bandito promo, and like they started it out like it was going to be the same thing as it was every other week, but no, it's just a bunch of match highlights. It was awesome, and they really put him over as like
they told the story. It was really good.
Yeah, he's the strongest luchador out there, and they showed like impressive as hell stuff. Like he's powerlifting guys with one hand, and I've always thought
he's a 4th generation talent. All that other stuff.
Yeah. No, it's they're doing a good job with his return. I don't really have much faith that they're going to do anything with him, but they're really promoting him well. And then looked like they were going to commercial, and we got Harley Cameron with a guitar, and she's doing a promo for AEW's shop, and it's 12 Days of Christmas, and she says 12 Darby hoodies, 11 Ospreay jerseys, 10 holograms, 9 Nana dress shirts, 8 DC comics, 7 autograph prints, 6 chibi stickers, 5 Feel the Wrath of Harley Cameron shirts, 4 fanny packs, 3 brawling buddies, 2 acclaimed scissors, and anything else that involves me, Harley Cameron. I love this. I watched it. We were a little late getting going because I watched this about 15 times.
The asides that she's giving are just fan.
I get myself over.
I'm not doing this to get myself over. Shameless self-promotion. Those types of things. Again, I have said this, and no, Paul is not the president of the Harley Cameron fan club. Jeff Hawkins is, because Jeff likes a woman with funny bones, and she has funny bones. She knows comedy. This
is the first time
cameo ad she did is fantastic too, with the ventriloquist.
This is the first we've seen of this on Dynamite. She's been doing this on Rampage and social media.
Yes.
And it's the first time they've put it on Dynamite. And I thought some of the stuff they've done on Rampage it's just too out there. Like, it's funny, but it doesn't fit in a wrestling show. This was perfect. Like, it was framed as a commercial, so it's fine. It's not meant to be part of the television show. This is promotion, and that's fine. You could put her in a segment like this every week if you wanted to, and it would be fine. It's not it'll get her over. It'll get people to care about her, but it's not necessarily getting you interested in seeing her wrestle anyone in particular or anything like that.
No, it doesn't. It gets her over as a personality, which is a very dangerous thing to do for AEW because A, they need stars, which is a good thing, but B, it'll get other people's attention, which could be bad for them, but that's fine. I am here for a sitcom with Harley Cameron in some role versus her being a wrestler.
When you're talking other people, you're not even talking about WWE.
I'm not talking. Well, WWE especially is one of those that'll go, hello, blonde, can talk, bring her over here, please.
Yeah, but it may, maybe Max might want her for something else.
If anybody watches from Max, sure.
Yeah, yeah. This was something else. If you haven't seen this, if you accidentally skipped it, go back and watch it because it was great. And great promotion. All these different AEW merch I didn't know they had. including a lot of Harley Cameron stuff. Feel around the Harley Cameron shirts. Yeah, I like that. And then from the then we went to a Mariah May promo, which was a completely different tone. And she
Also
said,
fantastic, though, I thought.
it was. She says, she's talking to Thunder Rosa, and she says, why did you go from being a social worker to becoming a wrestler? To make your family proud? A hero is just a dreamer who doesn't realize that they're dreaming. Says, I looked out just for me, and it served me pretty well. I've eclipsed everyone here just by being me. If I was here 4 years ago, you wouldn't even have been hired. So let's do your Tijuana street fight. Bring your father. I'd love to end 2 generations in one night. Papa Rosa, does being a failure run in the family? I won't be bringing my father because I don't want him to see what I'm going to do to your daughter. This was great.
If her feuds didn't suck so bad, her
Yeah.
promos are killing it at this point.
Yeah, it's just like, she's like, I don't even, how do we go from 65 watching to 10? They really didn't like my Harley Cameron singing. Anyway, sorry. What were you saying?
Never mind.
Okay. Sorry, I just got distracted. I'm like, what the hell? No, Harley, I mean, Mariah, like, yeah.
Mariah's killing it on this.
She is. And it's not in a way that
but she needs somebody. She needs somebody who can cut promos against her, and that's a problem because she's been getting Mina Shirakawa and Thunder. Look, Thunder Rosa's okay. I mean, in pre-tapes, but she's not the strongest promo in the world. You know, Britt maybe could do it, but Britt would also cut her down in a way that would make her look bad, type of a thing. We need someone who can go toe for toe with Mariah in terms of being as good of a baby face as she is a heel.
Yeah. All right. Where are we here? Oh, Tony Schiavone. Oh my God, this. Okay. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and for some reason he calls out Ricochet. And Ricochet comes out with his horrible suit, which would end up being part of the promo. And he says, congrats so far. You got 6 points, and you could make it to Orlando for World's End, but I can't help but notice in your last match, you had I don't know what to call it, a change in attitude, demeanor. And then Ricochet says, yeah, but didn't it look really good on me, though? And then before he can get going, he's interrupted by the Hurt Syndicate. And and they're all surrounding him. And he's like, what's good, guys? You look good. Glad you're out here. You look great. We all look good, don't we? I'm glad you guys came out here. Did you see how I beat the pants off a Commander? And MVP's like, yeah, we saw that. And he said, you see how I handled Brody King? And he's like, yeah, we saw that too. And I got 6 points. And Shelton, tonight after your match, maybe you'll have 6 points and we can face each other and we can keep our business on lock. And tonight, the 2 guys I have left face each other. And this Saturday, I have Will Ospreay, and he's going to see a different side of Ricochet. You feel me? And the MVP's like, remember when I gave you that card? And Ricochet's like, yeah. And he's like, let me see that card again. And so he brings it out, and MVP grabs it. And before he can do anything, Lashley starts choking him out. And MVP rips up the card. And MVP says, Ricochet, nobody likes a kiss ass. Sorry. And then Bobby straightened up his tie, shoved him off. Shelton is like brushing him off, and Ricochet bailed. And I wrote down, what a fucking geek.
I that's the only word I wrote in my in my social media was geek in all caps.
And it would get worse from here. Oh, Jeremy, you probably missed the beginning of the show, but we talked about this.
Yes.
Jeff was flabbergasted. I don't think he knew that.
I didn't know. I had forgotten.
If Ghetto was watching this show, he is turning over in his grave.
I have an even worse proposition for you, Paul.
What's that?
I think I know what this is.
Okay.
Who else is a geek that's trying to get into the Hurt Syndicate?
Leo Rush?
No. Max Caster.
Oh my God. No.
We're going to have dueling geeks trying to get in for the love of the Hurt Syndicate. And it's probably going to end up being Leo and Action Andretti eventually.
Joining the Hurt Syndicate.
Yes.
Because they're kind of cool, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But they need foils for it. So it's
Ricochet and Max Caster. Oh, my God.
So Ricochet has gone from the place that wasn't using him properly
Ricochet just needs to put the fries in the.
And he's now added that thing to
Yeah.
his.
Oh, yeah. Did he do that here? I wrote it down
Unless
in
this
places.
look, I could see this being a redemption if Ricochet becomes an even better heel in some ways. Because the most interesting thing about this whole thing is Ricochet being a heel. It's not Ricochet trying to be a heel and then realizing he's an absolute fraud.
No, he's completely 100% a heel. As I mentioned earlier, it's very reminiscent.
But he's not an interesting enough heel to go out on his own, separate from the Hurt Syndicate. See, if they try and make him that kind of heel, which I think they were kind of hinting at with the Swerve stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought like this was bad, and then when we got to Swerve later, it's like, oh my god.
Yes.
Like,
No,
yeah.
he just was absolutely geeked out there too.
So MVP says it was kind of an awkward pause after this. I don't know if they had more time than they thought they did or something, but Shelton says, Shelton, you got some business to take care of. Why don't you hurt somebody?
But again, this also but this whole segment gets them over.
Oh,
in
yeah.
a way.
As baby faces?
As baby faces.
Yeah.
Before you bring out Mortos.
Yes. Yeah. So they leave. MVP goes on commentary, and out comes Beast Mortos to wrestle Shelton Benjamin. And MVP was on commentary. He was awesome. I didn't write down a lot of what he said, but he's just great. He should be on there instead of Matt Menard like every week. They go to break. The crowd was dead when they came back, but then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, they started chanting, "Let's go Shelton, let's go Beast." And then the match picked up. So it's kind of like that Christian match earlier in that way. Mortos got a 2 count off a power slam. And then Menard said something that pissed MVP off, and MVP threatened him. And I think Matt Menard didn't say another word the rest of the thing.
Well, it's interesting that they then cut to the broadcast booth so they could get that over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like it was, MVP was not pleased. This is where I wrote down, they're pushing Collision hard. Shelton hit a power slam, but he didn't cover. Oh, no, I guess Matt wasn't done because this is where he screamed out, "We're into it here, boys." And then I just hate when he does that. Mortos got up and just growled at him. And then he headbutted him and then hit a rolling elbow. Shelton hit a super kick. Crowd was getting fired up. I think they were, chanting again, "Let's go Beast." And then MVP says, "Stick a fork in the beast. He's done." That was a good line. And then Shelton starts doing Suplex City. And I think the fans, it sounded like some of them were counting. And so it was, so MVP's going, "Take him for a ride, Shelty B." So I'm hoping that becomes a thing in his matches. Crowd was chanting "one more time." And then Shelton didn't do it one more time because he's a heel. And then he hit a running corner in the knee twice. Then he hit something I'd never seen before. And MVP called it the Hurt Fall, which is a great name. And they got the win. We got a super chat here. Lady B wants to talk about predictions for 2025 All In Texas. What are they leading to? This is a tough question. We'll answer this at the end. I want to think about it, and I don't want to just give you a half-assed answer. So I'll come back to this at the end at start. So we'll do that. But Jeff, weird match because again, I think they're both heels, but the fans kind of like both of them. So it was weird.
Well, I mean, they're trying to turn Mortos in some ways. I mean, the way that they're presenting him in this tournament and everything they say about him, he's middle management Frank the Beast Mortos. But the way Mortos has been playing to the crowd.
Yeah.
So you would think he's working baby in a lot of these things. I think he and Shelton didn't have great chemistry in the beginning. I think it was a little rough in the beginning there, but it's just, it's the heel face dynamics where it's just like we're just going to let the audience decide who to cheer and boo for, when really what they need is more conditioning is a huge problem up and down this roster.
Well, so when we talk about this heel face dynamic, it got weird because they went over the points after. Shelton now ties Mark Briscoe at 6 points, but I think he beat Mark Briscoe, so he's got the tiebreaker there.
Right.
And he's got 2 matches left. So Lashley, for some reason, attacked Mortos after the match. And the MVP tells Shelton he could use a little more of what you gave him during the match, so he gives him another German. And then who should save Mortos? Well, he didn't really save Mortos, actually. Daniel Garcia comes out, and because he's facing Shelton on Saturday. And so he comes out, and MVP says, Daniel Garcia, this is what you got to look forward to on Saturday. If you come out here, you're an idiot. And so Daniel says, cut the music. I'm not stupid. I can do the math. There's 3 of y'all and 1 of me. And I know what's going to happen if I come down to the ring right now. But I don't care. Because
these people want to see a fight.
Because everyone in DC wants to see a fight. So out comes Mark Briscoe to back him up. And Tony Schiavone points out they're still outnumbered.
Yes.
And of course, they end up getting beat up.
And they get beat up like geeks.
As Mortos rolls out of the ring. Normally, when this happens, they're better about getting rid of the other guy before you could clearly see Mortos bailing from this fight.
Mortos should have helped.
Yes, and he bailed. He was fine. He left in the middle of this fight while Garcia and Briscoe were getting their asses kicked.
His ass beat. He's like, I'm not going to help you guys.
No,
you take what I got.
Thanks for saving me. See you next week. So yeah, then
I'm not a moron, but these people want to see a fight. So I am a moron.
So they got laid out. Shelton grabbed the TNT belt, held it up. So I assume we're getting Daniel Garcia and Shelton Benjamin at the pay-per-view.
Hey, how about that? Great. Yeah.
So Shelton is a mid-carder fighting for a mid-card title and losing. That sounds familiar.
No, but I mean, they addressed the issue with the Shelton character on this one, at least. Where he wasn't playing with his food. He's now more serious. I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this made Mark and Daniel Garcia look like absolute dummies.
Yeah, especially Mark. And
come on, let's go in there.
Wasn't I mean, what's his name? Like Matt's out there. Why didn't he go help Danny? Like, right?
Wrestlers don't have friends in very convenient situations.
He was literally right there. Like he was on commentary. Why didn't he go help his friend?
Because Matt's a coward.
Okay, fair enough. Well, actually, maybe that's why MVP threatened
I have a cool commentary gig.
I got it's Wednesday night, boys. All right. Renee backstage with Ricochet. She says, what happened out there in the ring? Ricochet said, I don't know. He said they gave me the card. But I'm not gonna worry about that. They're my homies. I'm gonna worry about the Continental Classic. Your boy already got 6 points. This Saturday, I got to face Will Ospreay. One of the main reasons I came here, but I didn't come here to shut the world up and beat I came here to shut the world up and beat Will Ospreay, and I'm gonna have eyes on this mixed match. Yeah, I think that's what he said. Yeah.
So, I don't mind the story of the Hurt Business beating up the guy that's bragging about being part of the Hurt Business when he's not part of the Hurt Syndicate when he's not part of the Hurt Syndicate.
It's kind of like Roman and Bloodline and Sammy.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's get through the Swerve part of this.
So Swerve and Nana show up, and huge pop for Swerve. And he says, "What up, turd? When you first came into AEW, I knew it was only a matter of time before the real Trevor, let's say, showed his real face, because if you didn't know, his real name is Trevor. 14 years of knowing you, I thought you might change, but you're still the same old Trevor, a follower. That ain't going to work here in AEW, especially in whose house? Swerve's house." And then Ricochet says, "That's right, Swerve's house. I was wondering how long it would take me to hear that. I appreciate that, but I know the real Swerve too. The real Swerve didn't win the class like last year, did he? I'm going to eat you up this year when I do. And then he walks away, and Swerve says, "That's why he's still bald." It's like, what was that?
And then he does the tough guy heel stick a little bit with the facials, and you're just like, all right.
Yeah.
That made nobody look cool.
Ricochet left WWE to look like a bigger geek in AEW, but hey, bangers, right?
Exactly. They'll treat him well over there. Look, he's wrestled Will Ospreay in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do apologize. I have more swagger reading this segment than he did reading the promo. Yeah, I should have geeked it up a little bit more. But yeah, I'm enjoying the
now
burial
wonder
of Ricochet.
I don't know the man Ricochet, but I do wonder if he's a cocky jerk who can't play a bad guy, or if he's just a nice guy who doesn't know how to play cocky.
My
I'm wondering
impression,
that.
I don't either, but my impression after this part of the burial of Ricochet was that real life, nobody likes him. Like that's literally what I'm thinking after this. I don't know if that's true, but that's sure what the impression I got after Swerve's promo, which seemed to have a lot of inside stuff that nobody ever knew about before tonight.
Who has more enemies, him or Tessa Blanchard?
Oh, definitely Tessa. Yeah, she's back, everybody. Yeah. I haven't seen that yet either. I'm like part of the way through. So, oh my God. We got highlights of Toni Storm's return from last week. And then we got my not favorite, RJ City.
I can't believe they're going through with this story.
Interviewing Toni Storm is called Toni Storm, Portrait of a Rock Star. So, before we get into recapping this, so after last week, they announced, this is after we went off the air, they announced Toni Storm was returning on Rampage. Okay, fine. I still haven't seen it. Apparently, she did something in that match to make people think that she has amnesia and doesn't remember Timeless Toni Storm.
Yes.
Then she wrestled on Collision as well. Mm-hmm. And same thing. Except this time she was like introducing herself to people that clearly knew her and everything. So it was like they're hitting you over the head with it. There's some conjecture, and I'm pretty sure I know where this is going. I don't like it. I don't think it's an amnesia angle. I think it is. I think she's Timeless Toni Storm playing the role of Rock. Yes, that was my reaction exactly. But I think that's what it is. And credit to a couple different people, Larry Sternstein and Ryan Frederick, for coming up with this idea before I did. But I do think that's what this is.
So she's incepted the Toni Storm rock star role into the Timeless Toni Storm.
No, she is still Timeless Toni Storm.
No, I know that. No, yeah, but it's an inception though.
Okay, yeah.
Like, yes, yeah. I'm Timeless Toni Storm playing Rockstar Toni Storm.
I'm acting.
Good God.
Yeah,
amnesia might be a better story, and I hate the amnesia idea.
So she says to RJ, "Nice to meet you. Look at all these lights. It's really cool." And then so he says, "Tell us what you've been doing this past little while." She says, "Well, I'm from Gold Coast. I loved 3 things growing up: wrestling, rock music, and the grind." She had to get that in there. "And it's all led me here to AEW." And she says, "It's hard to believe, I know." And then he says, "Well, what about your history in AEW?" She says, "Well, I've seen every show since the start." And he says, "Well, what about being a 3-time AEW Women's World Champion?" And she's like, "Oh, come on." She said, that's a bit early to be thinking about that, isn't it? And he's all confused. He says, "Well, let's do some word association from your past." It was Soraya. She says, "Legend." Mercedes Moné, icon. Mariah May, the best in the business today. Timeless Toni Storm. And she's like, no. It's Tony time, with the horns. And this is being, I don't know. I hate this. I absolutely hate this.
I have one of those dumb continuity questions. Okay. Was she Timeless Toni Storm, or was she ever the rock star in this? Was she ever in this?
I think when
version.
She first...
Well, but when Mercedes was there.
Oh no. I don't.
So how would she know that?
Oh, because she's been watching AEW, Jeff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is dreadful. And
so she's watched every episode of AEW except for her 3 world title reigns.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just making sure we're on the same page here. Maybe she skips Rampage and Collision like every other
Well,
AEW
taking
fan.
at face value, amnesia doesn't belong in wrestling. It might be
Yeah.
a soap opera type thing, but you don't need actual soap opera things. Doing it as a gimmick where she's playing the role of this other Tony Storm thing. All right, fine, but it's leading to me when I'm trying to play out the beats of this.
So you know what the end game is, right? To
The
this,
end game is to get back to timeless Tony Storm, and then
and you know where, right?
she reveals herself at some point.
Well, at some point is guaranteed to be at Grand Slam in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I was thinking LA for some reason.
It's about 2 months from now.
All right, yeah, and there's gonna be some point in the match where she turns into timeless Tony Storm again.
No, it'll just the music will play and she'll come out as timeless Tony Storm, and everyone will cheer and they'll say it's the best storyline in the history of wrestling.
God help us.
Yeah. So, Will Ospreay and Darby Allin. The fans chanted "Holy shit" because apparently they got in a time machine and watched this match back before they saw it, because that would have been my reaction if I had done that. This match was insane. The crowd was back and forth between Ospreay and Darby. They were like, at first they weren't even doing much. And like before the break, like they literally almost did nothing. They were just like running and doing poses and people were cheering. And then I think the first real move was Darby hitting a cannonball to the outside. Then he sets up a coffin drop and Will is on the apron.
Oh.
And Darby jumps high in the air and bounces back first off of the apron. The hardest part of the ring, if you didn't know. And then they went to break. I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe he did this. And he was like, I skipped the break, but he was out there for a long time. And finally goes in. By the time they came back in, Will's in control. And then eventually they just kicked it into high gear. Will hit a hidden blade, goes for a Stormbreaker. Darby reversed it into a Code Red. The fans went nuts for that. They start doing the Fry Takayama spots where they're just beating each other down. Then finally, Will chopped him down, held his arm, then he chopped him down again. Darby starts firing up, rolled him up with a La Magistral. Will went for an Os Cutter, but he missed. Darby hit the coffin drop. Will kicked out. And I wrote down that the crowd didn't react because they were like silent, but then all of a sudden it was a slow cheer that just started to build up. So it was almost like they couldn't believe what they had seen. And then they start chanting, "This is awesome." Darby picked Will up for a superplex to go outside the ring. It looked like he was going to go onto a table, but Will kicked him off the turnbuckle, hits a Styles Clash on the apron. I know I wrote down he was going to hit a Styles Clash on the apron, but instead he hit it to the floor. And actually, it didn't even look that bad. Like, it didn't even look like it would have hurt that bad. But Will's selling his knee, rolls into the ring. He stopped to look at Darby like he was going to beat on him. And then he was like, no, I'm taking the count out here. And I like that, actually. And fans are chanting, "You killed Darby." Ref got to 9. Darby made it back in. Immediately, Will hit an Os Cutter. I thought, okay, that's the win. Darby kicks out. Then he goes for a Stormbreaker. And he got reversed in the Scorpion Death Drop. Then he hit a coffin drop. Then he goes up to the top, hits another, and he got the pin. I thought this was incredible. Just incredible. One of the best TV matches of the year. I loved it. And judging from your face, I'm guessing you didn't.
No, I really liked this match. What I was thinking about was I was trying to remember if Will Ospreay has lost another match in this tournament.
No, he's 3-1 now, or 2-1.
Okay, and the problem here, I think, to me at least, is they're using Japanese tournament logic.
Yes.
In that we're all now supposed to now view Darby as a major star for beating Will Ospreay, but it's in a tournament that doesn't really matter and that nobody really cares about. I think it's an awesome thing that Will did. If
Putting
the
over
end,
Darby?
but if the end game is Will's just gonna beat Kyle again for the tournament thing, I'm thinking 2 steps ahead, because I think I mean it's one of those things where, okay, maybe we set up a match for Darby and Will later for a title. Okay, I can go with that, but I don't
Well,
have
if Will
faith.
wins the tournament, he's the champion, so you could do a promo. But I mean, I think everyone's expecting Darby to go after Moxley after this, right?
You expect that, yes.
Yeah.
But then he has to win. To me, he has to win the tournament. See,
Well,
that's the problem with
if he
having
wins the tournament, that almost keeps him away from Moxley.
Yeah, in some
Yeah.
ways. But if he loses in the tournament, then why would you want to see him against Moxley?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
See, okay,
Yeah.
he lost a round robin tournament. He's not the best guy out there to represent AEW. This is the problem here, and it's one of those things where it's like, I get it, and I really liked it. It's one of those things where I don't know what they want to do with Darby. I really don't, because
And
I would think that they want to put the big belt on him. But if you're putting the big belt on him, then you don't want him to lose the tournament.
I assumed that Darby was going to lose this match, and then he was going to win his next match, and then the last match was going to be against Claudio, and he was going to beat Claudio, and that was going to be his big win, and he was going to advance by beating Claudio. Well, now Claudio is his next match, and then he's got a match after that. So I have no idea what they're going to do with that.
Right,
now.
and I thought the end game was he then gets slaughtered by Kyle Fletcher in some way.
Because he's too beat up from Claudio, probably.
Yeah.
And I mean they can sell this as being beat up too, because I mean he took a lot of punishment in this match.
God.
Most of it on himself.
Coffin drop. That thing just
like
made my.
And I was looking at his back after it looked bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. So after the match, I should point out, Will rolled out just after the 3. But it wasn't like a Hulk Hogan like kicking out or whatever. It was like he's still trying to win this match, but doesn't realize it's over. Was more like what that came out, kind of like
I know, but I love the match. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So then Death Rider's music hit, and Darby has this look on his face like, what the fuck? Like, it was so great. But then I don't know what happened. Like, he just left. Like, they didn't attack him. He just...
he knows it was just Claudio, so he just decided to walk out.
Yeah, except like then the rest of them came. So yeah, it was weird. So then they went to commercial. They came back.
Well,
and then...
Moxley has had a strange respect for Darby this whole time. Remember?
True. Yeah, and meanwhile, Claudio, I think, just looks at him as like a little pissant,
as he should,
because he beats the shit out of him every time they fight each other.
Yes.
Yeah. So they come back from break, and then the Death Riders are all standing united, I should point out, outside the ring, and it's all of them that are there because we're not in the Cruiserweight or the Continental Classic anymore, so the interference is allowed. Darby's win is why she asked a super chat question. Okay, so we'll deal with that in the end game. Him and Orange, Hangman, Kenny. Where does everyone end up by All In? Yeah, I've been thinking about it as we've been going, and we'll get to that question at the end. Because that's like 6 months in advance, and I'll bet Tony has something in mind for all this. So then the baby faces all made their entrances separately, and they clearly hate each other. This match was weird. It was basically the story of this match was the baby faces couldn't get along. Eventually Hangman walked out on his team, and the heels took over. But then Jay White was like just running wild. He kept making his own comebacks. Orange Cassidy was getting beat on outside the ring, so he couldn't make the tag. But instead of selling, Jay White would just keep making his own comeback. And they pointed out at some point in here that Jay White has beaten Moxley twice in a row in singles matches. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I heard him wrong, but
it should be a bigger deal than it is.
Well, not only that, why is this a 4-way? Like, unless it is what I said last week, and it's literally Mox is afraid of Jay White, so that's why I added these other 2 geeks into the match so he can beat them instead. Because if it's one-on-one with Mox and Jay White, like, Jay White's got his number. And he's already beaten Hangman, and Orange Cassidy is a loser, as we've already seen. So, yeah, it was weird. So this was weird. Moxley hit a pile driver going into a break, and it's like, okay, that wasn't an accident. They did that because KO just did one on Cody to put him out of action. They go to break. They come back with 2 minutes left, so they should be okay for ratings. Wheeler and White are in the ring. Crowd's chanting, "Fuck you, Yuta." He's like almost like Daddy Dom. He's like ringing it. They need to start letting him do promos and letting the crowd like just give him massive heat so he can't talk. But then that's too much like WWE, I guess. I wrote down Pac tagged in. White made his own comeback. Next week on Dynamite, Kyle Fletcher, Daniel Garcia, and Kazuchika Okada making his Dynamite debut in the tournament is wrestling Shelton Benjamin. So my notes got all messed up here.
That's fine. Let's just get to
the end of the match, Hangman comes back and goes after Moxley. He went at one point, like I think it was Yuta was holding Orange Cassidy, and Hangman went for a lariat buckshot, and it looked like he was aiming for Orange, but Orange ducked out of the way and he hit Wheeler, and then the fans or the announcers were like, well, who is he going for? And then eventually, the baby faces are not getting along again. Hangman and White are arguing, and then Mox just rolled up Orange Cassidy out of nowhere and got the pin. The match was better than I'm making it sound, but it was also confusing as hell booking.
Yes. Okay, good. We're getting to the point where I was at after this match, where I'm like, okay, so we keep going that 3 baby faces, quote unquote, 2.5 really. You count Paige. Can't get along going into a 4-way where they're all in it for themselves.
Yeah, and okay, so somebody sent me a question. We were texting back and forth, and he asks me, he says, okay, shouldn't the story be that all 3 of these guys are fighting Mox? They should be united for the sake of saving the company. They can't get along for shit, and their story is supposed to be that they all needed to save the company. And I wrote back, they're not trying to save the company. They're just trying to win a title. The only person that's trying to save the company is Moxley.
Yes. And that's one thing. What the story should be, though, is that these 3 jerks who can't get along with each other, that Moxley actually unites them to beat his ass, and they're running through Pac and Yuta. And then Moxley keeps retreating because he's seen what he's now done. And they shouldn't be showing phrase of an uneasy alliance until the 4-way, where they then have to fight each other.
But it's going to be the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
They're
in the 4-way, they're going to figure out that we all hate Moxley, so we're going to stop on him for a while before going after each other and having a quote unquote good match.
And then Moxley's just going to beat.
And then Moxley's going to take advantage of it and pin one of them.
After the match, they of course all brawled, and what happened was
someone needed to pin Moxley in these weeks.
Yes.
Look, I'm not saying it has to be as simplistic as WWE booking, where each guy, we'd have a bunch of these multi combination things between the Death Riders and these 4 or these other 3. And that every week somebody then pins Moxley leading into this. So then we have like 3 guys who have pinned Moxley. And hey, if that happens during this 4-way, one of them could be the new champion type of a thing.
So you know what the counter to that is? Well, in WWE, the Bloodline, Roman never got pinned.
and everybody hated it.
Around.
Well, no, but everybody kind of kept getting.
But it turned the business around, but you know what the difference is? They're not WWE.
They don't have a Cody Rhodes. That's the difference.
Yeah. Well, that's another problem. Yeah, I don't recall Cody.
This would be that Bloodline story if they hadn't decided yet who of Seth, Drew, Punk, KO, Randy, or any of the others were just going to win the title.
And we'll get into that. And we'll get into that with Lady B's super chat, because I think your answer is there. So
I do too in some ways, unfortunately.
Yeah. So the babyface are arguing. Death Rider surrounded the ring. They attacked, but eventually they ended up brawling outside the ring. Marina took Mox away, so it was left 3-on-3. And when it was 3-on-3, the babyfaces actually got the advantage. And Hangman figures out that Mox is left, starts staring him down. They panned over to Orange Cassidy for some reason. He's just standing there on the ramp. I don't know why, but I guess the heels were taken care of, so he didn't have anybody to fight anymore. So I'm glad they didn't just end the show with like Hangman and Jay White beating on each other.
Yeah, it was so. I mean, look, I get the move of having Hangman bail and then come back.
Yeah,
but why'd you sign for the match if you
Jay
stick around
more in that thing? Like he looked way too strong in my
Jay
opinion.
White is number 1, he's looking way too strong. Number 2, he's looking way too petulant.
Yeah, like he doesn't care about any of this.
He doesn't really care. He cares about the title, but he can't get over Hangman being in this match because he's beaten him every single time.
I think here. Okay, so I think Orange Cassidy actually is trying to quote unquote save AEW. Jay White just wants the belt, and Hangman doesn't. He just wants Mox. Like, I mean, if he wins the belt, that's cool too. But he's never liked Mox, and he just wants to get his hands on Mox. I think that's the problem. So they all need to unite. And you know who's gonna? You know who should unite them?
Everybody.
No. The word of the day is unification. Hangman, you get your head out of your ass, and you go after John Moxley. And
Adam
Jay
Cole's
White,
going to be our
Jay
savior.
White, you're talented. You beat John Moxley 2 times in a row. You can do it again at World's End. And Orange Cassidy, you're my conglomeration, buddy. And you need to keep your eye on the ball. And you need to save this company, AEW, that gave all of us a place to work and fight for honor, respect, and unity.
All right,
the word of the day.
Stop it. Okay.
Sorry.
Let's get to Lady B's question.
All
because
right.
I would think, see, it's weird because it is 6 months away. If it were 2 months away, I'd be saying there'd be a stadium stampede with all these moving parts versus the Death Riders. And if somebody pins Moxley, or somebody gets Moxley to submit or pinned, that they get the title. That's what I would be thinking, but I think it's too far away.
And it is in Texas, so that may or may not be important.
No, it's not. Who's a Texas talent that could challenge for the title? No, it's
Starks.
No.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Omega and whoever's holding the title. If it's not Omega already.
Okay. I think it's Omega. I think that's the match. I think that's the guy to beat Moxley.
But it's gonna be after the Elite get destroyed by the Death Riders.
Yeah, I think so everyone is expecting the Elite to come back as baby faces. I don't see how they can. Number one, they tried to kill Kenny.
Yes.
Number two, they ran away like bitches from a fight. So I don't see how they come back as conquering heroes after that.
I don't think they conquer. I think they are the next stage of cannon fodder. I think at least the Bucks part is. I don't know how they fit Jack Perry or Okada or Kenny into that.
I think we're going to have a match. You talked about so we're probably going to have at Double or Nothing. We always have, whatever that Arena Anarchy match. It's got to be the Death Riders on one team. And there's 4 of them, right? Unless there's 5, unless they put the women in there. But so let's just say it's 4-on-4, unless somebody joins the Death Riders, which could happen. I could see Garcia joining them actually. But I think the Death Riders against FTR, Kenny, and maybe Darby.
No, I'm now rethinking this because Darby's gonna go climb a mountain.
Oh right, yeah.
And he's going to get, I think after this tournament, he gets written off by a beatdown from Moxley. So I'm going to say it's going to be Darby versus Moxley for the title. I think Moxley's actually going to hold this title until All In Texas. And that's where they're going to have him get beat by Darby Allin.
Okay. So Darby. I still think it's Kenny.
I think Kenny's the safer of the two choices.
I do think one match I think we can probably look out for. I would like to see Dustin Rhodes. Maybe Dustin and Sammy beating a heel tag team to win the tag team titles on All In, and then Dustin retires. I would like to see that.
If that's the case, then you turn FTR, you give them the tag titles, and you have that be the retirement match, because I'm sure FTR would be more than happy.
Yep. And I do think FTR is turning. I think they're turning on the Outrunners at some point.
I think they could join this Death Riders crew.
I think we'll probably see Adam Copeland and Christian at that show.
Okay.
Or we could see them reuniting and facing a team on that show. Actually, that could be your match. It could be Copeland and Edge, or Copeland and Christian against Sammy and Dustin. But
it could be. I would think that.
Oh, but I like FTR better. I
think Dustin would want more of a Southern style tag match for his.
And probably Will. I would do Will Ospreay and Okada at that show too.
Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, depending on where we put Omega, because we could have Omega Okada.
Yeah. Oh
in
yeah,
there.
yeah, you could do that too because we haven't seen that in like
I'm
4 or 5
possibly
years.
thinking of elevating Adam Cole because they'll want Adam
No.
Cole to have a good match, and I think
No.
Adam Cole and Ospreay.
No. No. No.
No, where do you put MJF in all this?
Oh, I don't know. Like maybe way up there somewhere. But Adam Cole, I'm done with Adam Cole. Like
Because okay, there's going to be a stadium stampede, so we need to put like a 5-on-5 that's worth it out there. So
yeah, Death Riders against maybe the Elite.
no, I don't think we put. See, okay, see, I think that's happening in Australia.
Really?
Yes.
Seems soon, but could happen. I suppose
They're already in Japan. It would be a quick
True.
flight over.
They're heels in Japan, though. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah. Like,
Babyface and heel doesn't matter. Them all.
and they're arguing. Well, they're feuding with Jack Perry too. Perry's mad at them for leaving.
Really?
Yes.
Shit. It's ruining all my booking plans.
I know, right? I think
Perry.
We're
gonna have we're gonna have a 2-week build of Daniel Garcia, and he's gonna.
Perry's
gonna
have a big role in All In too. I think. He's a guy that they're.
I think
pushing.
Bryan Danielson has a role in this show
yeah,
too.
Yeah. He could wrestle.
How about we get the title away from the Death Riders, and we have the Death Riders in a stadium stampede led by Bryan Danielson and others for the soul of AEW.
Yeah. You know what? If you wanted to do Dustin, forget about him winning a title. Put him in that match.
Okay, I'm there for that.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for him, and he could get the win. Like for AEW, like that.
They're not going to go that far.
They probably won't, but that would be an awesome moment if they did.
Dustin is not the legend. They're not.
So then, yeah,
and they're not going to help the brother of WWE's biggest act.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, you know what the funny thing is? Did he re-sign? I think he did. Dustin, I remember hearing.
I think his contract ran out, but I think he's working on a handshake deal.
Okay. I wonder if he'd shake hands with Levesque.
I think he would.
Yeah. No, I think he's happy where he is. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, it's interesting. Like again, I keep going back to Omega. Like I just think that he's the guy. I said that.
Here's my answer for Lady B.
Okay.
There are a lot of matches with a lot of potential for this stadium show that they could do. I have no faith whatsoever, and I think Tony has an idea, but I have no faith whatsoever that you should buy a ticket right now to this show.
Can I give you
until Tony has put in some guardrails in terms of the direction he's going?
Okay, Lady B, my advice to you would be, I have never been disappointed by buying a ticket to an AEW show. I think there's going to be a lot of bangers. I think we're going to complain about the build.
We're going to complain about the build, but there's going to be bangers. I would agree with that. Yeah,
and it'll be, as long as there's at least 20,000 people in the crowd, it'll be an awesome time. If it's 15,000 or less, it might be a little depressing.
You're gonna get 9,000 total.
Ooh, that would be bad. But if it was me, I would buy a ticket. Although I wouldn't buy it now, I would buy it the day of the show. Because you'll probably get in for like 20
Mercedes and Athena. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yes, Mercedes and Athena, I think is,
and that's going to be that could be a banger.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because because Athena was there with the for the ticket pre-sale or whatever, the launched thing. So yeah, she's from
I would do her and Mercedes for sure.
Yes, I would do her versus Mercedes versus her and Mariah or Tony. Definitely.
If you could hold off on Tony and Mariah until All In, I think it would be great, but I'm not sure if you can hold off that long.
No, they have to do that in Australia.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You're right.
I have a match: Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia.
I mean, it's probably happening.
Yes, for the 800th time, it feels like.
Oh, how about the trios title? We haven't talked about those yet. The international.
We could have the Acclaimed fight Private Party. That'd be good.
And what's Big Boom AJ going to be doing?
Stealing the show, probably.
Danhausen.
Yes, we finally bring Danhausen back.
Yeah. I mean, we got to have some Texas thing. I mean, you know what would be awesome if they could bring Ricky Starks back and do something with him, but I don't think that's happening.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's too bad. I think I actually had a nice idea for Ricky Starks, but it's not happening. So, all right, Jeff, that's about it. So tomorrow we are going to be back tomorrow night on this YouTube channel, about 23 hours from now. It'll be 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain, or 8 o'clock Pacific, I should say, 9 o'clock Mountain. I think I got all the time zones there. We are going to be reviewing the December 18th, so exactly 5 years ago today, 2019 episode of AEW Dynamite. This is the episode where the Dark Order stood tall at the end of the episode, leading into a 2-week dark time. They went dark for 2 weeks. People don't remember this. They came back on January 8th. So they reset everything after this. That's, they just, TBS said, no, that sucked. You're off for 2 weeks. No, it was Christmas and New Year's and they didn't want to do a show.
Right.
Yeah. Funny, this year they're doing one. So that tells you something about TV now. They would rather have the 500,000 viewers that are going to watch Dynamite on Christmas night than, putting on Frosty the Snowman or whatever. Yeah, so we're going to be here. I haven't watched it yet. I'll watch it tomorrow. Jeff's already watched it.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's got thoughts.
I'm here to tell you that the problems that you say are in AEW now were in there then.
And I have a theory in regards to that, and I'll share that theory tomorrow. So I do remember, my recollection is that I liked this show a lot more than most people did at the time. But I'm curious to see how I'm going to feel about it watching it today. Okay. When you look on paper, the show actually looks like
on
promising.
paper it was fine, and the matches were fine.
Okay, all right. And then next week, Dynamite is on Christmas night. We are not going to do a show immediately after Dynamite, but we will do it the next night at the same time as we're doing tomorrow's show. So 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. We will recap the Thursday Dynamite and we will preview World's End as well. So we will be back for that. And I think that's it, Jeff. So what do you got for plugs other than those two things?
Shake Them Ropes later this week. I really enjoyed Saturday night's main event. I thought that was a phenomenal 2-hour show. It was a fun watch. That'll be part of our lazy river of wrestling criticism, along with whatever. I mean, my God, that NXT. We'll talk about that and any news that comes up. TNA's bleeding some talent, so we'll see if Chris wants to talk about that. I don't have a Vader Club from him quite yet, but he keeps telling me it's going to be Fit Finlay again because he skipped that week. So we'll see what happens. But that'll drop sometime later this week, probably Friday or Saturday. And you can follow me at Crap Game 13 on Twitter or Jeff Hawkins at Blue Sky. But I'm not long for Blue Sky.
What I will say about Saturday's main event is every commentator in wrestling, especially the heel commentators, needs to listen to Jesse Ventura. Yes. At 73 years old, he is still the best in the business.
Why? Because he's watching it like a guy who's watching wrestling, saying, "Why don't you go for the pin right now?"
Not just that, he's telling the stories.
Yes, he is.
That his storytelling is what got me hooked into wrestling as a 14-year-old kid. Oh yeah.
Cool.
I hated Hulk Hogan.
As one should.
Yeah. All right. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine. We'll see you tomorrow. And this has been the Dynamite Show.